Hi, I am Trina Allen, and I am so super excited to introduce you to my sermon notes for ladies. I love making sermon note taking books for kids and tweens and teens, but this one is for ladies. Hey, ladies, so why should we take notes in the first place? Well, one reason why taking notes during the sermon is good is it helps with your personal Bible study time. And for me, taking notes in the sermon is one part of my Bible study time. I have a Bible study binder along with me having a prayer binder. And in my Bible study binder, I have a few different areas and ways that I study God's Word. The first is inductive Bible study. That's when I'm going through a book of the Bible bit by bit. Next are word studies and book studies if I am going to research a certain word like humility or if I'm reading a very good book. I have sheets in here that help me with word studies and Bible studies. Then I like to do sentence diagramming, and that's another one of my Bible study methods that I use. And then I have a divider for like small group studies, Sunday school, and sermons. So in here is where I do that. And then I have in the back lessons that I'm currently teaching. So sermons are just one way that you can actually study God's wonderful word. Yes, and even though there are many reasons to study God's word, I'll give you three more. One is it helps us to pay attention. It's really difficult for children and teens, and yes, even for us adults, to sit through a hour-long sermon or so. So taking notes actually helps us to pay attention. Also, taking notes helps us to retain and remember the information. If we were to just listen to a lecture or listen to a sermon, it's very hard to remember it soon after the sermon is over. And one other reason, and there's many, of course, but one other reason is taking notes helps us to review the sermon. And we as a family review the sermon together because we want to help with the application and answer questions. And then for me, I like to dig a little deeper into the sermon and meditate on God's word and apply it to my life. And when it comes to review, I'll give you a little story of a house. If you were to go into a house for the first time, there's usually a lot of rooms that you don't know what they are. There's a lot of doors. You don't know where they go to. You don't know where the bathroom is. You don't know, if you're in their kitchen, you don't know where to find cups and flatware and all that. But if you were to go back into that house multiple times, you would become very familiar. You know which door leads to the bathroom and you know which drawer has the forks or which cabinet has the cups. So you're more familiar with the house. And it's the same way with studying God's word and reviewing God's word. The more that we go back into God's word, the more that we are familiar with God's word, the more that we can understand and know what God's word says. Hey, let's talk a little bit more about these particular sermon note-taking books for ladies and what makes them unique. One is that they include enough note-taking sheets for an entire year. That's like great. You can buy one now and have it for the entire year. The other thing is they include special holiday pages for all major holidays from New Year's until Christmas. And in those holiday pages, you can reflect. There's some reflection questions, like for instance, on the New Year's, there's a time where you can make your own personal mission statement for the year. And companies and businesses have their mission statements. They just pretty much lay out what your aims are and what you value. And it's a good idea to have a personal mission statement, or it can be a good idea to have a personal mission statement so you can reflect on it throughout the year. Like, am I actually doing what I value, or what are my aims? How am I working toward whatever my aim or goals are? So there's a lot of fun little pages for each of the major holidays. And also one thing I absolutely love are the Bible study quick reference sheets. They include the literary genres, which are, after listening to the sermon, are they in a historical book? Is it narrative? Is it a parable that I'm reading? Is it a law a book of the law? Is it a letter to a church? So as you are listening to the sermon, knowing what you're reading actually can help you to understand what God is actually saying in His Word. There are quick reference sheets on parts of speech. Is sin in this passage a noun or is it a verb? That actually helps with the meaning of what God is also saying. So there's a lot of those in there too. And figures of speech, literary devices. Am I looking at a metaphor? Like God is, I am. God says He is the Alpha and Omega. Why didn't He say I am like the Alpha and Omega? So knowing, is this a simile? Is this a metaphor? So all those things are, there's a lot of quick reference sheets that are in your sermon note-taking book. So as you're listening to the sermon, as you're reviewing the sermon, you can use those sheets to help you to understand what is God saying and what does it mean, and of course, how can I apply this to my life? There are 5 different styles to choose from, and it just helps with just making it more personal to you. So I pray that they are a blessing to you, that they are a help to you, and what's also very important is to just have fun studying God's Word, listening to sermons, taking notes, doing personal Bible study and reflection. It's fun. So I pray that you're able to enjoy and have a good time studying God's Word and taking notes.